Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk About Fixed Star. This is our first episode for 2023.
You're right.
Yeah, I was still like, sometime, we are in between. We are in between. I'm still in the between year. How to say that? Because at this moment, I'm visiting my family back to Taiwan. And in the Asia area, we have the Lunar New Year. I'm not going to call it Chinese New Year because this is not only Chinese people have this. Korean people, Japan, Thailand, Vietnam, that big part of us, East Asia, we all celebrate Lunar New Year as a beginning of the year. And also, very interesting, the day we recording it, I am in the New Year's Eve. So I'm going to cross the threshold to the year from year of a tiger to year of a rabbit. But it is very interesting. The fixed star we're going to talk about today is also kind of a with like a two-dimension or multi-dimension, something like that. But of course, I forgot to introduce my guest, and I can never talk about a fixed star without him. Let's welcome Christian. Hi, Christian. How are you?
Hi, Rod. Hi, everyone, and Happy New Year. If you're in the East or in the West, it's nearly the same. Just
Yeah,
have fun and
yeah,
hopefully a good 2023.
I hope so.
Yes,
Hope so. Well,
we
yes.
all
So
deserve something nice.
yes, I agree. I agree. Today, because we are going to talk about a very interesting fixed star. It's not very bright, but I have a very interesting meaning, and also, I mean, in the mythological or religious way, it sounds like a quite important because when I hear about the story you're going to talk about, I just like that is a very interesting fixed stars and the whole constellation. So, Christian, could you introduce our main character today, our story today?
Our main character today is Alrescha. It's in Pisces, and as Bernadette Brady always says, it's not bright regarding its physical brightness, but it's mythological bright.
Ah, that's very interesting. I agree. This whole constellation, because Arisha is in the constellation Pisces. So today we are talking about a fixed star in on the ecliptic, and then so it's on the zodiac belt. But it is interesting when you check. We only have 12 of them around this area, and if you compare them, they are. I think they are not very bright. It's a whole constellation Pisces is not very bright, unlike the maybe like Leo or
Yes,
Scorpio, or sometimes you can see Aquarius still kind of bright, but I think the Cancer is not very bright, and then Pisces also not very bright. So, but it's very interesting because today we're going to tell you a lot of story, and also I prepare a case study, just a very briefly to talk about a writer, an author. I really like his work, and when I find out he is related to these big stars, I was like, wow, that is so interesting. So should I start? I'm going to
yes,
give
please.
it a kind of a boring astronomy part. Okay, so
It's
let
not
me
boring,
share.
it's important.
Yeah, okay. Okay, let me share my PowerPoint. Here we are. So, Alresha, I have to mention this. There are so many different way to spelling it, and so I decided to go with the one on the most people using at this moment because it's defined by the Astronomy Association. So it's Risha, spelling like this, and the Pisces constellation. Well, this is a star, still not the most bright star, I just double check, still not the most bright star in Pisces, but still it's still Alpha Pisceum. So and this means the Alpha star in the whole constellation. Although it is not very bright, but they still give name Alpha, and because its position is a very important because it was in is a in the link point between two fish. Its magnitude is only plus 4.33. If you follow us from last year, you probably already remember. I will tell you that when you see the magnitude of the stars, the smaller number, the stars are brighter. So, our eyesight, our human eye, without any help, we can only see the star around like magnitude 6. The magnitude 4, you can only see it in the countryside. If you are in a city like London or somewhere, you're probably definitely not going to see the plus 4.33 fixed star. It's too dim for the city. But if you are in countryside, you probably can see it barely. Then another thing for all the astrologer, I shouldn't say all astrologer, most astrologer, we really want to know, oh, where is this fixed star? Well, in this constellation, no. Tell me what degree. That's what important for astrologer. So this fixed star, although it's in the constellation Pisces, but is on the tropical zodiac degree is 29 Aries, 42 minutes. That's today in 2023. I just write 22. Look, I'm still in between. It's 23. So it's because when I check it, I move it to 2023, but I still write on 22. So 20 years ago, in year 2000, it positioned at 29 degree Aries 22. In 1980s, at 29 degree 06. It is very interesting and become one of my study, I'm really curious because most astrologer use tropical zodiac. So when every time I see a star is around the 0 degree of a zodiac sign or a 29 degree of a zodiac sign, I really want to know when they're going to cross that boundary. Although there's no boundary in the sky, but I just like when we're going to see it as another star sign, and is that mean anything for us if it already happened? And I think one day I really hope that I can find something here to share with everyone. But here, just remember, it's going to change, move the sign from Aries to Taurus at 2043. That means in 20 years' time. In 20 years' time, and I really hope me and Christian will still talking about this big star in 20 years' time. That would be fun. I think we should be. No, don't you, Christian? What do you think?
Two gray-haired elderly gentlemen
And
with back pain.
our talking speed would be this slow. Okay, the first thing is still astronomy. I like it because I want to bring astrology back to sky. I think this is how Benedict Brady has influence on me. Go to look at the sky. Let's start talk to you. And this is how I also step into the very expensive interest about so-called astrophotography. Thank you, Benedict Brady. Because when I start looking at the sky, I not only just want to look at it, I want to take a photo. And then all the gadget is like, what? 1,000 pounds or something, or more than 1,000 pounds. It's like, oh my god, I spend all the money on those things. But I'm very proud of it. I'm very happy with it because I know when I go to look at the stars, I can say which star is which, rather than before when I stand next to Christian. Could you say, do you know what star is that? I'm like, no idea. Could you tell me? Okay. One thing I want to tell you is if you want to see the Pisces constellation, and the best time would be around the autumn, so around late September and October and November is a great time to see this. The first thing is the best, most easy way. Even you are in countryside, find the square of the Pegasus because it's very easy to recognize. If you see the square, the four bright stars form a square, then you know, and you probably toward to, little bit south, and then you will see the Pegasus. And then just right under the left side of the Pegasus, you will see the Pisces, a V shape. And then right next to it would be the Aries, and the up of it because is the Pegasus, looks like a Pegasus lake, but this is another constellation we talked about before. Is Andromeda, and then that is like a very beautiful. If you have little binocular, try to find Andromeda galaxy with the binocular. You don't need a huge telescope. Just use binocular and you will see it. It's very beautiful. And if you are a little bit south latitude, like 20 degree, 25 degree, 23 degree, then you have chance to see the Cetus. It's beautiful. It's very, very beautiful constellation and huge if you are in the little bit south latitude. Well, I think Christian has to stop me talking about the star sky because I will just on and on for another hour. So let's go back
Just
to a little
continue.
bit. Sorry.
Just continue. Could listen to you for hours. That's
Yeah,
really
talking about
interesting.
that. Talking about it. Look at that star. Look at that star. Look at that constellation. Have you seen that constellation? I think all my friends is like, oh my God, here we are again. Okay, let's go to the little bit of astrology that all astrologer who share the interest. Most of astrologer will talking about the fixed star or interpret about fixed star from the what Vivian Robson and Albert's writing, and also Manilius have described something. So unfortunately, I think this star is too dim for them, so it's not on their shopping list. But we can still understand how they think about the influence of the stars in Pisces. So this is what Vivian Robinson writes. Ptolemy make the following observation. Those stars in Pisces which are in the head of South Fish are the same influence of Mercury and in the same degree as Saturn. Those in the body like Jupiter and Mercury, those in the tail in the south line are like Saturn and moderately like Mercury. In the North Fish, those on the body and the backbone, and it's like Jupiter, and also Venus some degree. And those on the North line are like Saturn and Jupiter. Now I have a problem. Help me, Christian. Where is Alrescha? I think it's not on this description, right?
No, it's neither
It's
the northern nor
not in the north,
the
neither in the
other.
north, neither in the south, neither on the line. Okay, they are on line. It's on the line. So I think we can describe it because it will be very interesting. Okay, but always I love Manilius because compare with everything and the Robson, his interpretation is more mythological rather than add a lot of you're going to die by biting by dog or animal, or you're going to die by starving or something. When you read Manilius' description, it's like okay, because he followed the mythology of a constellation, and it's much easier to absorb. And I think that is how we interpret the constellation and fixed star. Well, but also because this is ancient translating, so I just summarize. Very easy to understand that those people under influence of a Pisces, they love the sea. They are good on the sailing. They are good on fishing and navigation. They are very good and they have a lot of love. They kind of they enjoy the sea like the sea is their heaven. This is so beautiful and easy to read. So I mean, when we go to explain the Pisces nowadays, I mean, a lot of people will say, "Oh, Pisces people, they are dreaming, they are artistic, or they have a lot of a feeling. They like, or some stereotypes say Pisces is romantic. Maybe not. There's a lot of Pisces not romantic at all. But what I say is, if you go back to the mythology, you can dig out more story around the Pisces rather than think about they are romantic or they have like a lot of a feeling and singing. So before I continue to next part, I think I'd like to hand it to Christian because there are more story we want to hear. So I will stop sharing here.
And I do screen sharing now. And whoops, just try to start.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, here you are. So, as Rod said, Alrescha is one of the few name stars in the constellation of Pisces. And although it's only the third brightest constellation, not constellation star, the third brightest star in the constellation, it's located at a really important position. It's at the junction where two strings of stars meet, and these strings of stars are the bands that bind the two celestial fish together. You see here. And the Babylonians, Syrians, Persians, Turks, and Greeks identified this group of stars also as two fish. For Ptolemy, Alrescha was the last star of the constellation Pisces in his Almagest. It was the last star of the constellation Pisces to rise above the horizon at his place. So this star marked the point where the band of the zodiac closed, the transition from Pisces to Aries. And in Greek mythology, Aphrodite and her son Eros were chased by the monster Typhon, and they jumped into the Euphrates, where they were saved from drowning by two fish, and they were tied together with a string to avoid losing each other. So for this rescue, the two fishes were placed in the sky as a constellation. This is a Greek myth. But of course, the knot is a universal symbol that can connect or can disconnect something. So we have sacred knots that are used for magical defense against dangers. But you can also use them for spell of harm.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Middle Ages, witches were accused of conjuring up epidemics by knotting cattle tails. And the three knots of monks' belts indicate the three vows of poverty and chastity and obedience.
Uh-huh.
And maybe all of you know this one. It's called the cartouche, but also it's called the Shen ring. And actually, it's a knotted ring made of ropes, and it enclosed the name of the pharaoh. Here you see the knot. To the Egyptians, the name, the so-called Ren, was one of 8 aspects of the soul. And if one of these aspects was raised after death, for example, by scratching out the name, the deceased died a final death.
Oh, wow.
And And of course, all of you know the Gordian knot consisted in intricately knotted ropes of the chariot of King Gordius. And an oracle said that Asia would be ruled by the one who could untangle the Gordian knot. Many tried, none succeeded, and in spring of 333, Alexander the Great is said to have simply cut through the knot with a sword. And of course, this problem solving is quite rude, but unconventional approaches are most effective. And Paul Watzlawick distinguishes two possible types of change in this really awesome book. And he says there are first order changes move within the framework of the same system. And a typical first order change is a more of the same. So first order changes are compromises where both sides have to bite the bullet.
Oh.
And there are second order changes and they work completely different. They can only arise outside the original system.
Wow.
So the existing framework of thinking creates free space for new solutions. And they are often surprising, sometimes absurd or paradoxical. And according to Bernadette Brady, Alrescha is this kind of second order change. So it's a synthesis, a fusion of the poles, the fusion on a higher level. And Alrescha composes a third from two positions. Alrescha is the ability to take something from two different disciplines and marry them together in a second order change. And this star combines different ways of thinking, different ways cultures are dealing with each other, different cultures, worlds, or strands. And in the process, a new synthesis emerges. And on the shadow side, Alrescha can change quite quickly from one position to the other. So it is really a quite interesting star of synthesis. And it's not like, for example, astromedicine, where we have the astrology part and the medical part. And altogether, it's what do you call it? Astromedicine. You see the astrology part in it, and you see the medical part in it. Alrescha forms something quite new, where you don't find the astrology part and the medicine part, because it's something totally new. So it's not, it's really a new synthesis, a new system of words, of ideas, of cultures, whatever. Really quite an interesting star.
I have a question.
So it was me. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry to interrupt. I have a question. So usually we will a little bit like I just realized what you say about Alrescha is not just combine two things or not put two things together. It is a combine two things and is a very new. So it's not just two things coexist. So it's a two things marriage. It's like an alchemic or two things merge and it becomes something different. Because I think sometimes, okay. So I think sometimes people will misunderstood like because it's South species and North species or two things put together. So they binding two things together. Not only that, because it's also a marriage.
Yes, and really, as you said, it's like an alchemy, where something totally new emerges. You have the queen and the king, and together they form the hermaphrodite, something totally new. It's neither male nor or female. It's something
Mm-hmm.
totally new. And in Orion, we have the star called Alnilam.
Yes.
And Alnilam, this is really the belt of a warrior. And
Mm-hmm.
this is like that astro and medicine where you can find both parts. They still
Mm-hmm.
exist. That's the
Mm-hmm.
difference. Alrescha is really like this alchemical process where
Okay.
something totally new emerges.
Wow,
The
that
second
is
order
so,
solution, as Watzlawick said.
yeah, that is so interesting. I think this is a very key concept. It's not just two things or two different ways, but there's something new with here, and it
Yes,
is neither
right.
neither belong to neither belong to A or B, but it's a C. I like this
Yes.
idea. I really like this idea. Well, so I will continue to share something. I think today I'm going to share three different things. Today I'm going to share three different things. I will start with the usual. I probably will go with the story of the Chinese sky, but because I realized the Chinese sky of this part is there's something that I shared wrong thing. Looks like I shared wrong thing. So I'll
Yes.
start it again. Yes. Okay. So the first I'll bring everyone to the southern part of Chinese sky. But bear in mind that because the ancient Chinese astrologer service for the emperor and they are just care about their center land, center court. And so their mind is all about thinking about political, economy, and military. Interesting. This star and the whole this area because is the um around sometimes it's like around the ecliptic and the celestial equator area. So it's kind of southern part of the sky, southern part of sky. For them, that's the frontier, that's the border, that's the border of the country. And so image because everyone know if I ask you what make you remember the view or the great things of China that the things you will remember most people will say Great Wall and which yes that was like one thing people were related to China, the Great Wall in the north frontier of ancient China, but nowadays is the frontier is a little bit north. But they built a huge wall to become a barrack and to stop the other people come into their land. So in the sky, also very interesting. They build a fence. So I think this is the like the what we call the line of the southern fish. The line of the southern fish. This part they call it outer fence. The outer
Mm.
fence. So it's not really a huge wall, but it's just like a fence, barrier. Um, this area, I mean, because I mean, in the Western constellation, we got Cetus here. We got the southern fish, and we have a Pisces two fish. This is a water area. It's quite interesting. You have a huge Cetus. It's like a whale. You have the southern fish, and you have a two fish here. Got a lot of fish here, but in the Chinese view of the sky, here is either military camp or the fence. So you have all these barrack, you have the military camp. So you need someone to fix. You need someone to fix them. So the whole Pisces constellation in the Chinese view, they are divided into several different parts. Still very interesting. You have the thunderbolt is on the head, just the head of the south fish. Then you have the cloud and rain, also related to water. You have the so-called office of earthwork and the building. So I just call it a builder, but it is the royal official builder who who control the, build up the fence, build up a military camp, and maybe the story house. And you have the lake was around here. You have the lake around here is for the tiger's lake. Is the tiger's lake. Okay, you have tiger's lake. And then you have the outer fence is here. This is outer fence. Interesting. This part, the so-called north fish, is quite interesting. The north part of fish is the official in charge of parts tuning. Very interesting. I think this translation is so-called literally translating, just translate Chinese character to English, and without imagination. I went to dig out the ancient textbook. They say no. This is okay. So-called the parts tuning. Maybe someone who tell you what time it is during the night, and the watching, watching on the street what happening. This part of sky, this part of sky, so-called north fish, is not only the one kind of a guardian, but also is the officer or the minister who look after animal, livestock. So all those cow, chicken, pig, lamb, they are taking care of domestic animal. Interesting, because have you seen the two? Like this is a right side. This right side is looking for the livestock, looking for domestic animal. But you see the left side. Here's Aries. You can see here's Aries. Here's Aries. So I'm already crossed the boundary to the Aries. This is Aries. This is the so-called low. People were thinking about a building. No, it's not building. This is the ancient name to call a herd, a group of animal. The group of animal, whole herd of domestic. That's why you have officer who look after domestic. So he's the herdman who look after animal. Interesting. On the left hand side, just around, this still belong to, I think still belong to Aries constellation. Called the official in charge of posture at the left, but his job is to look after forest. Yes. All the forest. So you got domestic animal, you got a forest and a wild animal on the left hand side. So I like it. It's still, although in the beginning I think it's quite boring, but when I talk about them, I still like, oh my God, they are so interesting. I mean, maybe I'm just too nerd. Okay, I wanted to also tell you something in the south, in the south part of the sky, because when you go to south of the Pisces, you have Cetus. In the Chinese view, the whole Cetus is two huge part of a story house. So this is a sky story house, and here is another sky story house, but they all belong to Cetus. So when someone who has a Cetus in the Western world maybe is related to ocean, related to sea monster, but for Chinese people, we related to the food and the story house, grain, food, all these kind of things. Okay, very short. This is how the Chinese world to see this part of the southern part of the sky, and then what they related to. But let's come back to a little bit about the Alrescha, because I just find an author, as I say, an author, a writer I really like, and I read his book when I was in the university, and I just he blew my mind off, because the way he's writing. I mean, today when we watch too much superhero movie or all sort of TV series, they are very easily to take you to different dimension of the world. Image in the 1950s, 1970s, or even earlier, there's not much that TV and movie. And the book describes things like this. You just like, wow, it take you from the everyday's life, day-to-day, daily routine, to a magical world. Here, I'm going to give you Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I really like his work, and I think the ones he is a very famous author in the Spanish world and the Spanish language. I'm still learning Spanish, and I really wish one day I can read his book in Spanish. And he won the Nobel Prize of Literature in 1982. I think that the one book I remember is called The 100-Year Solitude. And that story is describe a family story, and the whole, I think the little town they build up is like a Eden or something, and they living there and generation after generation. But that is not just a boring historical, because it's set up, and things happen there is so magical. So you have one part is like everyday's life, like a human based life, like a little town in a society, people interact to each other. But in another part, their dream or their hallucination or the things they see is so surreal. And this, I think he's not the only one or the first one writing the story in this way, but he have very powerful influence in the in the literature, but also in the Latin American. So like another author I really like Isabel Allende. She's also have this kind of style, and I really love their work. I don't know, maybe Mercury in Pisces take me, into this magical land. So if we go back to see his star chart, star map, not natal chart. Sorry, when we talk about a fixed star, we like to bring you something very different. We look whole sky. To be honest, we're going to look a whole sky. And just give me a second. Here I use the software from Benedict Brady, the starlight. So this is the moment when Gabriel Marquez was born. Have you seen the Alrescha is right on its horizon?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Wow.
oh my God. And the moon was nearby too. Have you seen? Moon was also near
Yes,
there.
yes.
It's just when you know what Christian just talking about, and you know Marquez's story and the novel, you will just like, oh my God. It's true. There's a real life, there's a Latin American history in his book, but he gave a lot of magical story or fantasy story wave into his history, and you just somehow you lost in it. It's beautiful, and you said which part is true and which part is history and which part is fantasy. No, they are all
Yes,
together.
yes.
It become like he created a new word. So I think that is a
Yeah.
very interesting. Christian, are you going to mention anything?
Just thrilled about Marcus
Yeah,
Alrescha on the horizon. That's a really amazing example.
yeah. I really just like when I find out that, oh my God, I have to talk about it. It's not too complicated.
Yes,
It's the fixed star on the horizon. It's a fixed star on the horizon, even at the parent, even at the heliacal rising and setting. It's just on the angle. It's just on the angle. And
yeah,
you just like, oh wow.
yeah, and
Okay.
it's like all the stars on the horizon or on the prime, not the prime, yeah, prime meridian, are
Mm-hmm.
like belonging to the DNA of the person. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really in his DNA to putting together two worlds and found uh, develop something that is a kind of alchemical wedding, something totally
Yeah.
new. Fantastic example. Thank you, Rod.
No,
Really
thank you.
great. Yeah.
Thank you, Christian. So, well, usually I will share some
Oh,
um photo. Yes.
May I
But today my
interrupt
photo is
you?
on the background.
I
I'm
just,
joking.
I just, I just scanned through my data bank and I
Yes.
found another guy. It's
Yes.
Neil Armstrong. Neil
Oh
Armstrong also
wow.
has Alrescha on the horizon.
Oh my
Interesting.
God. Interesting.
Yeah,
That is really
but
interesting.
but sorry for interrupting you.
No, no, no. I think I think that sometimes we need some example to make us to realize,
Yes,
how
yes, yes.
this kind of stuff have like how people to unfold this mythology in their
Yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah,
Everyone,
yeah,
everyone will unfold it in a very different way, and so you probably, but it's not a the people have this fixed that definitely going to be kill someone or something. No, no, no. We all use it. It's a tool or it's a myth, it's a mythology, and you're going to apply it into your life. Well, usually I say I will share some beautiful astrophotography photo. Today, I don't have many, but I have a very recent and interesting one going to share with you. Let me go back to my slides. Yeah, is the you maybe heard about this recent comet come to visit Earth after how many years? 50,000 people say that, something like that. Say last time when this comet visit Earth was Neanderthals time. So okay, I mean, more and more this kind of a comet will be because we know when they visit last time, so we will find out the fascinating things. Well, to be honest, this is the could be the only visible comet we can see for year 2023 or even year 2022, 24. I think, or 24 we maybe have something else. But this is the beginning of the year, and we have a comet visit us last night. This comet code C/2022 E3 ZTF. Okay, the name is a organization who which discovered this fixed star. After that fixed star, sorry, this comet. So I don't want to explain the name, but it's just number and the word. But this comet, you can see it from now if you have a clear sky. But I'm not going to say how and when, but it's around the north area, around the north area. It's moved between, at this moment, I think it's around the Boot and Draco. And then by the, this is the photo I took on the 15th of January. That was first time I see this comet with my eye without a telescope. People say, how could you see it? I said, because I know how big it is. So I know I see it. Now, what do you mean? Because when I tell people you can see it, you can see the comet in the sky, they are expecting they see the huge, great Halley comet cross the sky, with huge brooms, huge tail. No, this is a tiny comet. You can see that, as I say, you can see it. When you say that, you just see a tiny light dot. But why I'm sure I saw it, that's because the day I saw it, it was between the Corona Boreas, Aries, and the Boots constellation. This area doesn't have many bright stars. So when I saw it, I see a light dot there. I say, I see that comet. So many people argue with me. No, you couldn't see it. I would say, yes, I'm sure I see it because there's no star there and I see a light dot. That's my comet. Anyway, and I took a photo because I'm sure that's a comet that I prove it. This is the photo I took. This is just a one single shot. And you can see it's a green comet.
Yes.
And you can still see the kind of iony tail. Well, very, very dim. I think now, if you take a photo now, because it's 10 days after, the tail will be very, very beautiful. And this is the I stuck the maybe 1 hour's photo together so you can see the star trail and the tail, a little bit thin tail. So I will tell you how to see it. from now, especially when you see this episode, it is very bright, and you maybe can see the tail in the sky now, not unlike 10 days ago. You couldn't just see the light dot. So where it is, I will tell you, I'm not going to waste your time. When you see this episode around the end of January and early February, so easy. It is around the North Pole. It's here. So you find your pole star. That's the astronomy 101. Everyone want to look at the star, have to find if you are in the North Hemisphere, you have to learn how to find the pole star Polaris. And look, on the 31, 30, 31st, and 1st of February, it's just right above the North Pole, right above Polaris. So it is very easy to find, okay, but if later, when you move toward to Aurigas, I think it's around the 6th of February, it would be very close to Cabela.
Mm.
And then, but it will get dimmer. So most bright is on the end of January and early February. If you're waiting until like 10th of February, it moves toward to Taurus. And I think it's around 15th or 14th of February, if we can still see these comets. It will very close to the Aldebaran. And also Mars is around this area. I'm really looking forward if the sky is clear at time, I really want to take a photo of comet and Mars face to face to each other. That would be very interesting. So here is my introduction to the new comet you're going to see between the mid-January to mid of February, and the best time to see it is 30 January, 31st January, and the 1st February. If you have time, look around the Polaris and just a little bit above, and you can see this beautiful comet. I'm sure by this time, you can even see its beautiful tail, or maybe just a very tiny, just like a hair. So you can see them in the sky, and I wish it would be very bright. I hope so, because as I study comet, I know them. What do I mean? I know them because they're going to surprise you. Either you can see it, or they just like, no, I don't want to let you see it. So they are very unpredictable. That's what I'm saying. They are very unpredictable. So, well, I wish all of us good luck and see the comet. Because it's kind of magic in the sky. Well, I just spent a lot of time
showing.
Thank you, Christian.
Yes.
Thank you, Christian. I mean, because you always show your enthusiasm. Listen what I'm talking, so I can talk quite a long time, but always delay our session. I'm really sorry for everyone, but I really hope you enjoy the sky. I really hope that what we are doing bring people go to look at the sky, connect with the sky. That's going to help you to learn astrology too. I promise you.
Yes.
I promise you.
Yes.
So, well, this is our first episode of the 2023, and we talk about Alrescha and Pisces, and I show you if you want to look at a comet, where to look, and I also have an article writing about my prediction or forecasting about this comet from the view of the constellation and the fixed stars. And so if you're interested, I will leave my website here underneath of this video, and you can go to have a checkup and then let me know what do you think. So thank you, Christian, and thanks everyone watch today's Let's Talk About Big Stuff, and a New Year's ahead, and I wish you a very happy New Year. And me and Christian, we will continue to bring some interesting big star story, and let us know if you want to talk about any fixed star you want to know. We will be very happy to share their story with you. Okay, well, let's see you next week. Bye bye.
See you.
Let me